Hey folks, Cozzy here for Pick One Pack One, and welcome to our Jekk's Bounty on a Budget video series. We are now up to mission number 12, Blood on the Rocks. This is an interesting mission where the rule is that when a player is reduced to 20 and 10 health or lower, the other player draws a random dragon. Basically, we're in a race. We want to be getting them down to these threshold levels of health as fast as possible, and to be making their life as uncomfortable as possible as well. In order to do so, I've decided to pay homage to a classic archetype of Magic, which is also an archetype that we're seeing a bit of love for in Eternal. The idea of a burn deck. What a burn deck does is it basically has as many spells that go directly to the face as possible. The idea being that you have a level of redundancy, and whilst they can still hit you with your creatures, if your burn spells is doing more damage faster, then you're just as happy. So here we have copies of Obliterate, Flash Fire, Charchain Flail, Flame Blast, Torch, Kaleb's Favor, Piercing Shot, and then Burnout, which is a burn spell where you sacrifice a unit to deal 5 damage to an enemy, and I just have some very quick and efficient units that will be trying to do the damage. It's a really simple deck and cheap as chips. The rares that we're looking at Charchain Flails or Obliterates, and indeed if you're not after the Flails, you could even swap it over for some Stonescar Mauls. They all work just as well as each other. And then over here, this is a slight variation. I've been a little bit infatuated, I'll be honest, with Tundra Explorer since it's gotten the upgrade as a 3-cost 3/3, and when it attacks, if the top card of your deck is a spell, you can draw it. I've shown it a lot in film decks since patch 1.8 has come out, and this is my attempt to look at it in a burn archetype. Likewise, we still have our Flame Blast, we still have our Torches, Favors, Piercing Shots, the Maul, and Obliterates, and this time we have some other spells that can interact with the creatures a little bit more easily, but still have damage in mind. Static Bolt is a damage-based piece of removal. Backlash can counter spells and do damage, but I don't want too many of them because I'm worried about having too many in my hand. Permafrost is just premium blue removal, and then we have some card draw and Wisdom of the Elders. The idea being that we're just going to churn through drawing these cards and eventually get to the effective burn as fast as possible. The only other two cards here, indeed the only other creature other than Tundra Explorers, is Womp the Party Starter. This was a promo that came out around Christmas, I'd say, of 2016 as a thank you to the open beta users. I'm pretty sure it's relatively cheap to make, and it is a Yeti Lord, and when you play it, it deals 1 damage to the enemy player, and all of your Yetis, whilst it's on the table, will deal 1 damage to the enemy player, turning them into burn creatures. And that happens to work very nicely with this particular spell, Scouting Party, where if it's on the table, all of my 4 Yeti Spies will do damage, which will activate all of their Infiltrate, which will allow me to draw a lot of cards. Happiness is. So yeah, relatively simple decks. We're basically going hard and fast for the face. And whatever dragons we get, oftentimes, to be honest, we'll try to be going so fast that we won't even see them, but they could be a benefit for us. The one dragon that we really don't want to see our opponent get is the Black Sky Harbinger. That hurts with us running a bunch of X1s. But if we're able to avoid that, and if we're able to avoid... not enough power in this hand for me. And if we're able to avoid the Cloud Snake Carrier, whatever the name is of the equipment that gives +3/+3 to a creature so long as it has flying, then we'll be in an okay spot. Okay, so I have an early choice here. Knowing that they have the 2-cost equipment that could get this out of torch range, I need to decide whether I'm going to play my unit or use my burn on this cheap serpent. The reality is, if they do get it, that's generally me being dead, so I think we're just going to play it safe here and get rid of the snake. And so now we can play our units or the burn. The units are going to be doing more damage in the long run, so we'll get them down nice and early. Sometimes your opponent's hand can get clogged like this if they have too many pieces of equipment and no flyers to put it on. I've seen this happen a couple of times in my practice matches. And that's a really good draw for us. And we'll be able to get to the 6 pretty comfortably, having had our second favour. Indeed, our opponent looks as though they're in serious strife right now. Despite the fact that we're flooding a little bit. One of the reasons why I love Obliterate is the fact that you still get the change coming through. So we're able to deal with the creature while still doing the leftover damage to them. Rhyme Scale Draconis, flying, play Permafrost on each exhausted enemy unit. That's not bad. I don't think we're going to have time to play it, to be perfectly honest. But geez, it's not bad. And this is unfortunate. Normally the opponent puts up a much better fight than this. I suspect that they have a whole bunch of pieces of interaction that they can't use. That's clearly the card that they just drew off the top. And attack in for the win. So yeah, hard, fast, aggressive. Not the best representation of that matchup, to be perfectly honest, which is a little bit of a shame. Hopefully we'll have a bit more opposition as we mess around with this Skycrag Spells deck. I'll tell you what, try saying that 3 times fast. I don't love this hand. I don't love it because we have 2 cards that we're not going to be able to play for a long time. But I am going to be able to hold up this backlash, although oftentimes they're going to be playing a couple of units early on. No, I think we can do better than this. This is so much better. So much better. So, I think what I want to do is play the banner first. Sequencing my power in this way means that I'm going to have open power on every single turn rather than having a turn where I risk missing out on my power. So I need to work out, do I want to use my static bolt here and kill the hatchling? Or am I happy just to wait and see if they play the equipment on it? They'll attack me for 4 and then I can permafrost it. The problem with this line is next turn I want to be playing my Tundra Explorer. So even though I feel as though I'm using one of my premium cards on a very non-premium threat, I want to make sure that I'm still just using my power effectively. If we're able to get this card draw engine online, we'll be fine. Okay, so that probably means that we have power on the top of our deck. Because there's only, what, 4 more units in the entire deck? Yeah, there you go. I could have done the 3 damage there, get them down very quickly. Ooh, that's pretty nice. Okay, so we're going to play 1. They could kill it, and if they do, I'll be sad, but it won't be the end of the world. We're going to keep getting their life total down. If they can't kill this turn, then the scouting party is going to be comprehensively game over. Ah, that's a shame. Would have been fun to have death by Yetis. And we don't need to draw anything else. So there you have it, folks. We've managed to get up to the final chapter. I hope you've been enjoying the series and the different types of decks. I'm aware that if this was to be a true campaign on a budget series for you to follow along at home, I probably would have been better off building one deck and developing it as we go. But part of what I also wanted to show was, I think, part of what they've tried to elicit from this campaign, which is the joy of deck building, the joy of trying to pick up on elements of what you expect your opponent to play and then trying to position your deck to take advantage of it as much as possible. And I hope that that's come through and that I've done a reasonable job for you. Anyway, folks, I've been Cozzy. Not drafting, I was about to say drafting, running through the Jekk's Bounty campaign for you guys. I do hope you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you guys sometime soon. Have a good one.